What's up YouTube, welcome back to another video on my channel Skotrix, and today as you can see we are back not on NBA 2K21 but we are going to be back on this chart right here for another badge ranking video. And in today's video I'm going to be ranking the best shooting badges in NBA 2K21 current gen. Now if you guys didn't see yesterday's video, I ranked the best finishing badges in NBA 2K21 current gen, so today we'll be shooting, tomorrow will be playmaking, and Friday will be the best defense badges. So make sure y'all stay tuned for all that. But before we get into this video right here, I just want to mention really quickly, if y'all have not subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you click that subscribe button. Only about 2% of people who watch my videos are actually subbed to my channel, so if you click that subscribe button right now, you can join the 2% gang. I really appreciate it, helps out a lot. And also I stream on Twitch. My Twitch link will be down in the description below. Make sure you go follow me over there if you enjoy watching live streams. But with all that being said, without any further ado, let's get right into the video here. Alright, so I'm going to go through these pretty quick. Just like yesterday, I'll give a brief description of why I'm putting each badge where I put it. I'm not really going to go over what the badges do because I think most people probably already know what every badge does. I might go over it a little bit for specific badges, but for the most part, I'm just going to rank every badge and talk just a little bit about why I put the badge where I put it. So first off right here, the first badge we're going to go over is Deep Fades. And I'm going to put Deep Fades into the B category. It's a good badge. It's not amazing. It's good in specific situations. Basically, if you're shooting post fadeaways, this is one of those badges that you pretty much, you're going to know if you're going to need this badge. If you shoot post fadeaways, you're going to want this badge. If you don't shoot post fadeaways, you're not going to need this badge. Basically, if you have a post scorer or a stretch 5 or a 3-level scorer with a really high mid-range, then this might be a badge that you can invest into. Otherwise, you should be good without this. It's not as good for guards. Some people use it on guards. It's not really that good for guards. It's mostly just for those big men that like to shoot post fades. So a decent badge, not amazing for most builds though. So next up right here we have Flexible Release, and I'm going to put Flexible Release into the A category. This is probably higher than most people would think Flexible Release would go, but honestly it's a pretty underrated badge. Flexible Release is a really good badge this year. It'll help you make shots that are either early or late release, but it would also give a small boost on slightly early or slightly late releases. So Flexible Release is actually a really good badge because nobody greens 100% of the time, and even if you green half the time, which is really good, still this badge will help you the other half of the time. So any badge that helps you make half of your shots, or a lot of the times for most people even more, is a good badge in my book. That's why I'm putting it in the A category here. Plus it works for every single build, whether you're a guard, big man, wing, anything. It works good for you. Works in every game mode, park, Pro-Am, Rec, everything. So Flexible Release, really good badge. I don't see a ton of people using it, but it is a really good badge for every player. And next up right here we have Hot Start, and I'm gonna put Hot Start down into the D category. Could even go in the E category, but I'll put it in the D category. I really don't see the point in using Hot Start. It is good in some situations, but once you miss a shot with this badge, the boost is completely gone. So it's kind of just not worth it for most players because it doesn't help your first shot of the game, and it doesn't help any shots after you miss your first shot. So it's not going to help you on a lot of your shots. You know, if you miss your first shot of the game, this badge is completely worthless. I wouldn't recommend investing into this unless you have at least like 25 badges, maybe even 30. It's really not that good of a badge, so I'm putting it in the D category right here. Next up we have Pick and Popper. I'm going to put this one into the E category. I really don't recommend this badge unless you obviously are pick and popping basically every single play, but I think Catch and Shoot is a better badge than this, and there's just so many better badges that you can invest into rather than Pick and Popper that I don't really see any usage for it. Obviously where it is the best is with a stretch 4 type of build where you're going off pick and pops a lot, but even in a situation like that you really should not need this badge. So it's going in the E category right here. Not completely useless, but really not worth it for most players. And then next up right here we have Pump Fake Maestro. I'm going to put this into the F category. This really is not that good of a badge. You don't need it. Pretty much useless. Not too much to say about it. And then next up we have Range Extender, which is a super good badge. Goes into the S category. Obviously any badge like this that helps you extend your range is really important in basically every single 2K throughout the entire history of 2K, and this badge is no different. Range Extender, definitely S tier badge. If you have a shooting build, this is probably the first badge or one of the first badges that you're going to want to get. So Range Extender S tier for sure. Then we have Steady Shooter. This is an F tier. If there was a tier below F, I would put Steady Shooter in that tier. But basically, do not use this badge. I'm going to explain quickly what this one does because most people don't actually know. Some people know, some people think they know, but they're actually wrong. Basically what Steady Shooter does is it makes it less likely that you're going to make open shots. So think about that. It makes it less likely that you will make open shots, and it makes it more likely that you'll make contested shots. But it doesn't help with late contests like Deadeye. So basically the only way you would get any boost out of this badge is if somebody's standing right in your face, not moving, and you try to shoot over them, which I don't recommend even with this badge on. And basically what it does to counter that, to make it pretty much a useless badge, is it makes it less likely that you'll make open shots. So if you put this badge on, you're going to be missing a lot of open shots compared to if you just had even no shooting badges. Having no shooting badges is better than having flexible release on Hall of Fame, and you really don't want to put it on. It's a terrible badge. Do not put Steady Shooter on under any circumstances. And then next up right here we have Volume Shooter. Volume Shooter is actually a pretty good badge, probably in between the A and the B tier. I'm going to put it into the B tier, but it could go into the A tier. Volume Shooter is a good badge, especially if you're on a guard like a play shot or something where you're the one shooting most of the time. Maybe you're playing 2s and you're just running off screen shooting, or 3s and you're doing the same thing, running off screen shooting. This is a really good badge. It basically helps if you shoot more than once within a 1 minute time span, it will boost your second shot in that time span. So if you're shooting more than once a minute in the game, you're probably going to want to invest into Volume Shooter. If not, you can probably ignore it. If you're a player that only shoots 2 or 3 times a game, you can probably ignore Volume Shooter, but otherwise it's a definite badge that you're going to want to put on. And next up right here we have Tireless Shooter, and I'm going to put Tireless Shooter into the C category. This is a good badge for like play shots and stuff who run around for a long time on a possession and then have to shoot. You could definitely find some value out of this badge. I recommend putting it onto gold if you're like a play shot or something like that, where you spend a lot of time running around screens or isoing and then you have to shoot when your stamina is low. Definitely a good badge. If you're a big man though, you probably don't need this because your stamina is probably going to be pretty good when you're shooting, so you can ignore this and invest into other badges. C category badge right there, decent but not amazing. And next up right here we have Slippery Off Ball. This is an interesting one because it basically is useless as a shooting badge, but where it does have some benefit, which is why I'm going to put it into the E category, is as a finishing badge. So basically if you're like a paint beast or something with one finishing badge and you can't shoot it all, or a glass cleaning finisher or whatever, you can't shoot it all, but you have your one shooting badge and you don't know where to put it onto Slippery Off Ball, because it's really more of a finishing badge than a shooting badge. Because when you're running to the paint and if you get contact, when like let's say you don't have the ball and you're running to the paint, your teammate's about to throw you an alley-oop, but a defender comes up and bumps you, and then your teammate throws the alley-oop and it just goes out of bounds, because when a defender bumps you when you're cutting for an alley-oop, the ball usually goes out of bounds because there's no contact alley-oops in NBA 2K21 current gen. But if you have Slippery Off Ball, it'll make it a lot more likely that you're going to get by that defender and that you're not going to make contact with them when they're coming up to bump you. So it will make the alley-oop successful more often. I hope that makes sense. I know it's kind of weird how I'm explaining it, but if you're a build like that where you have one shooting badge, put it into Slippery Off Ball and you'll be good right there. But otherwise pretty much useless as an actual shooting badge. And next up right here we have Ice and Veins. I'm going to put Ice and Veins in the E category. It does have some place if you're playing like the Rec or the 5v5 Pro-Am and you need to be able to make free throws. Let's say your free throw is really low for some reason, or you just don't know your release on free throws, then you could put Ice and Veins on because it will help you make free throws more in clutch situations. It doesn't help you with all free throws. If it helped you with all free throws, I would maybe put in the D or the C tier, but it only helps in clutch situations, which is near the end of the game when the score is close. So it can be decent in certain situations, but most of the time I don't recommend it, especially if you're playing park or something. This is absolutely useless. You do not need this badge because obviously you're not going to be shooting free throws in the park. So if you're a park player, this is an F category badge. If you're a Pro-Am or a Rec player though, you can maybe find some value in it. Maybe it's like a D category badge. So I'll split the difference and make it an E category badge right here. But next up we have another S category badge, and that's going to be Hot Zone Hunter. I'm going to put Hot Zone Hunter into the S category for sure. This is a great badge to get all the way up to Hall of Fame, or only gold if you can only get your shooting badges up to gold, because it really does help, especially if you have hot zones. Well, only if you have hot zones. If you don't have hot zones, don't invest into this badge. But if you do have hot zones, this is one of the first badges that you should be upgrading because it will give a significant boost when shooting in your hot zones. It'll make it a lot more likely that you're going to make those shots. So this is for sure a badge that you're going to want to invest into as high as you can get it for pretty much every single shooting build. And next up right here we have Green Machine, one of the most overrated badges in 2K history. I'm going to put Green Machine in the C category. It's really not that good of a badge. I don't recommend it for most players. Basically, the only situation where Green Machine is good is if you're like absolutely an amazing shooter and you're just shooting so much in the game that you can constantly have Green Machine activated. But basically how this badge works, I'll explain this one too really quickly just because it's kind of a bit of confusion over this badge, is you have to make 2 greens in a row for this badge to help you green more consistently on the 3rd shot. And once you miss a green, so even if you mess up a shot by like 10 milliseconds, then this badge boost is completely gone until you make 2 more greens. So at that point you've already taken 5 shots in the game, and I would assume the game's getting close to the end and you've only gotten the benefit of this badge on 1 shot, which didn't even go in anyways. So I mean, it's hard to explain. I did make a whole video on Green Machine going more into depth onto why it's not a very practical badge, but trust me, Green Machine, pretty overrated badge in 2K. You really don't need it unless you're shooting for your team basically every single time and you're greening the shot almost every single time. And if you're greening that consistently anyways, you won't need Green Machine. But next up right here we have Difficult Shots. And at the beginning of the year, difficult shots was an absolutely goated badge. Now it's okay, but they did nerf it quite a bit. I'll put it into the C category as well. It's still a good badge. It still is a good badge for play shots and stuff like that. But for basically every other build, if you don't have at least a 90 mid-range, you're probably not going to be wanting to shoot fadeaway shots or leaning shots or anything like that, and you're not going to need difficult shots. But if you have at least a 90 mid-range or something, you could still make those leaning, fading type of shots. They still are a viable shot, just not as good as they were at the beginning of the year. So that's why I'm putting it into the C category. Still a decent badge, but not amazing. And next up right here we have Deadeye. I'm going to put Deadeye into the A category. I know this isn't the actual icon for Deadeye. For the purpose of this video, going to be Deadeye, this badge right here. And this is a decent badge for a lot of builds. It's not an S category badge, but if you have at least 15 shooting badges, you're definitely going to want to invest into Deadeye. It is a good badge because it'll provide a significant boost to any shot that's getting lightly contested or even medium contested on a closing out defender. So good badge right there. Not quite an S tier, but it is a very good badge. And next up right here we have Corner Specialist. I'm going to put Corner Specialist into the B category. It could even go into the C category. This badge is okay, but the boost it gives is not as high as it was in 2K20 for instance. So it's a decent badge, but not amazing. If you're shooting out of the corner a lot, I recommend getting this badge as high as possible. If you don't find yourself shooting out of the corner a lot, then you probably don't need Corner Specialist. And one thing that I will mention for this badge is it only helps on 3-pointers. It does not help on corner mid-ranges. It only helps on corner 3-pointers. So keep that in mind when you're deciding if you want to put this badge on or not. But yeah, B category badge. Could even go in the C category, but I'm putting it in the B because it is a really good badge for players who just sit in the corner and shoot threes all game, which is quite a few players in this game. So B category badge right there. It definitely has its place. And next up right here we have Clutch Shooter. I'm going to put Clutch Shooter into the C category. This is a decent badge. I mean, it's not amazing, but it is pretty good. It basically helps you make shots late in the game, which sounds really, really good, but the boost that it gives is not nothing crazy. So it's a good badge. It will help you make a couple extra clutch shots probably over a course of like 100 games. You probably make like 5 extra clutch shots, which could be a big deal, or it could be better to invest those badges into a different shooting badge where you can make those 5 shots anyways. So it's kind of a trade-off, and personally I would probably recommend this badge for anybody who has at least 20 to 25 shooting badges. If you have anything below that, there's a lot more important badges that I would recommend you invest into. But Clutch Shooter, it's a decent badge though. So I'll put it in the C category. And next up right here, this is going to be the final badge, and that's going to be Catch and Shoot. And I'll put Catch and Shoot in the A category. This could even go in the S category. It is a really, really good badge. If you're a Catch and Shoot player, I recommend putting this up as high as possible. Obviously, most people are probably going to know if they'll need this badge or not. It basically just depends on if you shoot a lot off the catch and shoot. If you do, you're definitely going to want to invest into this badge. If you don't, you can probably ignore this badge, but most players do. Unless you're like a play shot or something where you're only shooting off the dribble, this is probably a badge that you're going to want to invest into as high as you can possibly get it. So yeah, Catch and Shoot is a category badge right there. And that's going to be it for the ranking the best shooting badges in NBA 2K21 current gen. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully this video helped you guys out deciding which badges you're going to want to put on for your specific build. And if it did, make sure you leave a like. I really, really appreciate it. And maybe subscribe to my channel if you're new. Like I said, only 2% of people who watch my videos are actually subbed to my channel. So if you click that subscribe button right now, you can join the 2% gang. I really, really appreciate it. It helps it a lot. And also, like I said at the beginning of the video, I stream on Twitch. So if you like watching live streams, make sure you go follow me over there as well. The link will be in the description down below. And yeah, I guess that's going to be it. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with my list, what you would change, and why you would change it. But yeah, that's it. Peace.